Well, hey there everyone, it's Hurley from Inklips. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today I'm going to show you how to create two different types of window shaker cards. One that has a window that opens up and reveals the shaker, and one that's a little bit more intricate with three different shakers inside the window. Now today, I'm not going to tell you that these cards are easy to make or anything, but with a couple different tips that I'm going to share throughout this video, hopefully it's easier to get these setting results for you guys at home. So I'm going to start off with this first card with the window that opens with these little chicks on the inside. I'm using these dies from Pretty Pink Posh called Peekaboo Windows, and these are really nice because it comes with a bunch of them in one die set. These cut off the little window portions, and they also score the lines where you can fold. I decided to use the larger die out of the set, and I'm going to just tape it down with some frog tape that won't be too sticky so it won't peel up my cardstock. And I've lined it up with the center of my card, and that's going to be the focal around a pretty simple card, but it's going to have that revealed shaker on the inside. So I'm running it through my die cutting machine here, and when I pull it out, I love the results. It looks to me kind of like a little chicken coop, so that's what we're going to be using it for today. So I'm just peeling the die off carefully here, and then the two center portions are stuck together by a little tiny piece. So you just pull that two portions apart, and you get this nice little window that you can open and close throughout the entire process. Now I'm using this Birdie Friend stamp set, which I just love those little tiny chicks we're using today, and some of the sentiments that come in there as well. So I've adhered a bunch of the images I want to use on my acrylic block, and I'm just going to stamp those down a couple times using some Memento Tuxedo black ink so it will be Copic friendly when we color them in. This is just nice to have them stamped several times to test out color combinations or if they didn't stamp perfectly the first time. So for the coloring of all the images in today's video, I'm just using Copic markers really simply and easy. I'm just doing like 3 color blending on each image here, starting with the darkest one and moving on to the lightest. Now there's definitely more of my videos that'll go more in depth about this, but I just decided to speed it up and cut some portions out here and there, just so you can get the general process of what I'm doing to add some depth and dimension and blending, but I didn't want to go too much in depth because we're mainly focusing on the shaker portions of these cards today. So then I'm just blending everything together really quickly here. After I have those colored in, I'm going to cut them out. I just use a scissors here, and I'm just going to go right around the edge and moving the paper more than the scissors to get a nice clean white border around it. But you can also do some die cutting, which I'm going to show later on how to do it with some different images that I use for the next shaker card. After I'm done with all of the cutting, I'm going to move on by using one of these Ariel Stampin' Die storage packets. Now I'm using the largest size here so I can get the most out of it with a lot of different shaker cards, and I love this plastic because it's really nice and thick for these cards. And I'm just going to cut this out a little portion that will go around the window and leave a little bit excess as well. And nobody's going to really see the cuts or how clean it is, so you don't really need to make sure that that's super well cut. So after I've done that, I'm going to just grab the adhesive and stick down all my pieces right on the back side there. So you'll see the pieces coming out from the back, and they'll be right in the front and center of my window here. So I'm adhering everything down how I like it right before I put the plastic on. Then I flipped it over, and I'm going to add some strong adhesive right on the outside edge of that window, and we're going to be adding the plastic right onto the back side there, and this will make sure that nothing will fall out, and it creates a nice clean window for my shaker card on the inside. Now, one thing I've always struggled with shaker cards is creating the actual shaker portion, because a lot of people use foam tape, but I just feel bad using all of that. So I grabbed a piece of fun foam here, and I'm cutting out roughly the shape of my window with a little bit of excess around the edge, and I'm just going to adhere that right around my window, making sure you can't see it from the outside of the card, but this will contain all of our sequins for the shaker card. So then I've grabbed a card base here, which is going to be adhered to that card panel, and we're just adding all of my sequins onto here. I'm using some of these blue sequins from Pretty Pink Posh, and these sparkling clear as well. And I also added some little dewdrops from Pretty Pink Posh, which create some nice texture and dimension in the shaker as well. And just I added some random sequins here and there as well. All the sequins will be linked down below if you guys want to purchase those, and I'll have the exact types and sizes as well that I used in all these shakers. Now I'm taking that panel with the window and the fun foam, and I'm just adding it right on top of all those sequins, making sure they're inside of that window portion and none of them are sticking to the foam. And I'm just going to push that down really well to make sure all the adhesive is bonded. Usually in shaker cards, this is where I get wrong and go too excited here, but you're really going to want to push it down enough so that everything is bonded and you make sure that everything is nice and in place, and then you can start shaking it around. But I forgot to stamp the sentiment. Since we used fun foam though, it'll support it enough so I can stamp the sending hugs here, since all those little birdies, when you open it up, have their little wings out looking like they're ready to give a hug. So I thought that sentiment was perfect for this. Then I'm just running the top corners. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm using my corner chompy here just around the top corners with a 1/2 inch, and I thought it was perfect just to add that little something when the windows are closed and the card looks pretty simple. So then I'm just adding some Wink of Stella to make that little bird stand out a little bit more, and that little blue bird will shine from the rest of them. And then I'm just basically done with the card. It's so stunning. I love when all the sequins shake around and move inside that window, and I just love the final results that you're able to get with these fun shaker cards, especially when that window is closed and then you open it for that nice surprise. For this second card, I'm going to be showing you how to create a window card again with 3 shaker panels instead of just 1. So I'm using this stitched pieces, so it has that stitching on the inside and outside of those 3 different windows, and it cuts all 3 so you can make some little critters pop out of here like we're doing today. I'm running that through my die cutting machine. I've taped it down to the center of a panel of my card stack that I'm using today. And once I pull it out, you get all these little pieces that are on the inside there, which have the stitching if you're going to use those. And then you get that outside stitching on those windows as well, which I just think is a really fun extra little detail. For the images on the card, I'm using this Fox Friends stamp set with those 3 little adorable foxes. And I've stamped them down, and I'm going to color all 3 of them using some really bright orange Copic markers here. And you'll see how I kind of dull the color down to make it look a little bit more like a fox and stretch some of my Copic markers. So I'm coloring all of that in and blending it out with the 2 color depth and dimension that I've got here. So I'm adding those shadows in, and then instead of just using white, I use some gray and I'm blending that out into white so it gives some more depth there. And then to stretch my colors, like I said, I'm adding some little brown here and blending it out into that orange to make the color just a little bit more foxy and kind of darker. Then for this little flag, again, it's supposed to be white, but I'm coloring it and using gray and blending it out to white to give it some more depth. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you can cut these out with the scissors, or there is these dies available, which will give that nice little white border, and cut these out really quick and simply with you. If you have these, it saves a lot of time and gives a lot more easy effect to these cards. So after that is cut out, I'm going to move on to adding that foam portion or cutting that out. This time I decided it would be smarter to just take the windows and trace around them to get that general shape of the foam, and then I'll just cut around those lines so I can have a little bit of excess room inside of those, and everything will be nice and cut out then. So these are the 3 shaker portions that we're cutting out for the windows on the inside. I find that this fun foam saves a lot more time and is a lot easier, but you can definitely still use that foam tape if you choose. So I'm adhering these little fox images down. I had to cut some of the bottom portions off, but I love how they're just peeking out of these little windows. And then I'm adding some adhesive on the back as well, so we can add that little piece of acetate on the back from that stamp pocket. And I'm just making sure that's nice and adhered down there, and pushing it down to all the different images, and there's adhesive on the back of the stamps as well. And then I'm going to add that happy birthday sentiment onto that flag and adhere it to one of the foxes to make it look like it's holding it. And I'm adding that fun foam on the back of there as well. And then I'm going to just shove some sequins on the inside of here. Again, most of them are from Pretty Pink Posh, but all of them will be linked down below. I'm using some green sequins, some blue ones, and some yellow on the bottom. And then to top it all off and add a little bit more on the inside of these, I'm adding some clear kind of funfetti sequins, I guess. I don't know. They don't have the holes in them, and they're nice and flat, so they give some nice shiny images without having that added bulk and dimension, so they're really nice for these shaker cards. Earlier on the other card, I showed how to add the card window portion to the card base, and now I'm just going to show you that you can take the card base and put it right on top. Make sure everything is adhered down. Again, push everything down and make sure it's nice and adhered before you flip it over and start shaking the card, because that's where everything usually goes wrong if it's not adhered down super well. And make sure everything is lined up as well before you press down a ton and before you make a mistake. So then I'm just going to shake this around. The whole card is finished. I hope you guys love both of these cards. The first one with this window portion that opens up and is a little bit more interactive like that. And this second one that has a bunch of different compartments inside of it, which I just love all the different colors on this one. And that it's a little bit more intricate with all those different windows. So I love both of these cards today. I love the interactiveness of both of them and trying my hand at some shaker cards, and I hope you guys will try it as well. There's some more videos on screen if you want to see some of my content. You can hop over to my blog, which had much more information, product links, and much more pictures as well. And also you can hit that subscribe button on screen, and if you click the bell down below as well, you can get notifications and become part of my family every time I post a video. I hope you guys will have a great day. Thanks so much for stopping by.